Yeah, we back with another one, been catching these hours, so no, that's why I ain't been on my grind, but I gotta get back on it. Almond Brown, I gotta get linked back up to your video that you wanted me to take care of for you. Um I got a video on new construction that you might want to go back and look. I'ma tag you on my community wall about that one. But go with this conventional one. I mean, you know the basis on conventional, but a lot of people looking into getting properties right now. And with getting these properties, you got to make sure, you setting things up. But I'm going to get on that on probably the next video. I don't know if I'll be able to do it tomorrow. I might just pre-record it for tonight because I don't think I really got too much going on. I know I got to run one little error when I get off of work. I got to go holler at somebody about, I got to holler at two people about some money. But other than that, grind before you shine, baby. But right now, this is the grind and the struggle. You know, the whole point, the grind and the struggle, they could be separated, you know, because you don't want to struggle all your life. And, to an extent, you don't want to grind all your life, but you want to still keep that motivation. The hustle with the grind is real. You having a purpose, staying on top of it. A lot of people don't know how to move a certain way. And when you don't know how to move a certain way, there's certain things you get caught up, in the system. And that's why I be trying to tell people, focusing on you. I always talk about knowledge of self. And with that knowledge of self, like I keep saying, it benefits you. I was listening to a young guy yesterday on the cruise season. I was on a pod, and I think I was around about like 28 or so. And he said, at one point he was homeless, and he grinded his thing, and now he got two biz, and he's on his thing. That's what he say. So kudos to that young guy at 28, doing it like that. But that's not no overnight success. You don't, just jump into that. That grind and that hustle is real. You know, a lot of people fail to, put in the work. So that's why they suffer long term. You know, what's going on? Sun Cloud, Red Pill, what's going on? What's going on? But, as it turns out, man, a lot of people, like I say, they live in this fierce and struggle mentality than to just, come up out of it, grind with a purpose. You go to work just to get paid. What do you see yourself in a couple of years? See, a lot of people keep failing and lacking on that situation. You know, he ain't got no vision. He ain't got no goal. What is your vision and what's your goal for life? You know, most people they'll be at a job for 30 years. So what was your whole purpose of being at that job for 30 years? Just to say you did it? Like, I know a guy who was a truck driver. He was at his job for 28 years or something like that. Then he left there, started his own business, and ended up going back to work for somebody else. Like what was the grind? What was the hustle for? Houses and cars, or a better life for yourself. See, when it comes down to it, we had these situations in our life to where you know the grind it gets real, but how many people willing to sacrifice things so they won't have to struggle? You know, grinding hard. I know people that pretty much. You know, there was a guy that I used to work with. I used to work at this moving company. People, be on my channel, you know that. And there was a guy I know. He stayed in his truck for I think 3 to 5 years, around about that, 4 or 5. I think it was like 4 or 5 years. But when it came down to it, in the end, he saved enough money, especially when they converted the pay over to I ain't get into that, y'all ain't gonna understand. But pretty much when they converted our pay to where it's more like a cash type deal, commission, I think he went on ahead and quit after that fifth year, bought his house cash, furnished it out, had enough money to sit in his 401k to retire on, but he was stacking for a minute. As far as I knew, I thought the dude only been in there, I think for 5 years or so, but that was the last real relationship he said he had. Other than that, he said he was just grinding hard, doing what he had to do to pay his bills and all that stuff, and he was good. And bills consist of keeping his truck up because that was his home. A lot of 18 wheelers got beds in the back, and with the beds in the back of them, that's what you do. You live in there. You basically it's a lot of truck drivers that live over the road. Over time, you get you a hotel because you get tired of that road life. But other than that, hey, the grind is real. You stacking for a purpose. And so basically, he did that, and that what he was hustling for. You know, art imitates life when it comes down to music and stuff like that. Because I remember one of my favorite songs I used to listen to, Kevin Gates. He always say, "I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired." And my wife, my friends all used to laugh at me because that's how I went hard at it. Even when I was young, coming out of high school, I had that one major job. Plus, I used to do promotion on the side, and then I got to a point where I was, setting things up to where I had people cut grass too. So it's like I was trying to come in with streams of income. My whole thing is, you know, like Rocco say, what you hustling for? You know, that was my biggest thing. I wasn't trying to be out here just hustling money for no tennis shoes, something like that. No, I was grinding out for a purpose. And until I met my purpose or my vision changed, that was the whole thing. And that's what a lot of people lacking right now is that vision. What you really on the grind for? What you working a 9 to 5, or as me and Dr. Dunbar talked about, uh, your 9 to 5, and then after that, what's happening after your 5 to 9? Them later hours. That's what putting in that work for. Um, Infinite Colors, the dude who has a YouTube, I think he has 3 channels, and Infinite Colors is one of his channels on YouTube. Relatively, I think he's about mid age with dreads, not old, but mid 30s or so like that, mid 30s. But dude said he put in 12 hours of work each day. No, he said 12 or 14, one of the two. I think it was 14 because he said he would do at least 8 hours at work. And then after he clocked out of the job, he would go home and do about 6 hours. Yeah, about 6 hours on YouTube, just grinding out, putting videos out. He did it for 2 years straight. After 2 years straight, one of his videos went viral, and there you go. You know, yeah, that's true with having an end goal, but the process, it always changing and you're always developing. Your end goal is to be successful and have this money, but once you get to be successful, then your end goal change to keeping that type of lifestyle. You know, but with the dude, he was grinding hard for all that time, and then he fooled around, and there you go. End up not be able to work. Like right now, he said he ain't working right now. He instead of him doing 14 hours of working at another job like he was doing to build up his YouTube, he said he maybe only works like 2, 3 hours a day now. You know, make a quick video off of a reaction, edit it, and he good. And I mean that's easy money because once you get to the point where you start learning how to edit videos, man, it come real easy for you. Like second nature, man, no problem. You know, and like I keep saying, man, the biggest thing is a lot of people like, what are you doing? What's the end game? what's the goal and what kind of purpose are you having? You know, when it come down to it, it's a lot of people, man. They get put in a situation like, what's the end result? You know, and it goes through life basically. You know, life challenges, man. Stuff get put in front of you. What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do about it? And that's like the passion in which other people, you know, when I start talking about that grind that you put in that work, you know, that's like me when I used to wrestle in high school. My biggest aspect was to, you know, always get first place because, you know, that was what's presented to me as being the best. Get first, you know. And I was going all or nothing. If I ain't get first, man, I just, you know, was PO'd about it. And, you know, the biggest thing is, like I keep saying, you know, that purpose, man, that purpose of life. What's going on, Just? I haven't seen you in a minute. But that purpose on life, you know, a lot of people don't like I say, a lot of people don't have that vision. So when you grinding for a purpose. You know, you don't want to have, you know, be in a struggle mentality all your life. You know, you pull yourself out of the hole, then you start grinding for that, you know, the better way. That's the thing, you know. You have people that have their stories, man. I remember we used to eat Roman noodles and we used to do that. And coming out of that point of you eating Roman noodles and, you know, what they say, eating a what Trick Daddy had a song. He said sugar water, eggs, and mayonnaise sandwich. You know, mayonnaise sandwich because that's what the older people used to call that wish sandwich. You know, you wish you had some meat or something to go with it. You know, that was like the funny thing. But sugar water, when you didn't have Kool-Aid, but you had water and sugar, you wanted something sweet. You know, you go from living like that. Now, Trick Daddy, man, a big, well-known rapper, he has his cooking channel on YouTube and all this type of stuff. And you know, retired rapper, he's living a good life. You know, kids, you know, they doing their thing. At the end of the day, you know, he got out of that struggle, and you know, he stayed true to himself, as they say, and you know, he provided a better way for his kids, better way for himself. You know, even family members. You know, and you know, I'm gonna get back on my insurance thing because, like I say, I keep trying to get people to understand, man, that insurance game, we lacking on that because we not really understanding that part of the grind to where, you know, that's how we starting that generational, you know, legacy far as within our family. You know, like I was telling one guy, he was saying about with the generational wealth, and I was like, building legacy. He was like, you mean building wealth, not legacy? I'm like, nah, legacy, man. You know, this is gonna be something that's passed down through next generation, and it's like I'm gonna be immortalized as being one of the family members that, you know, set things into play to where, hey, I did it. You know, Nicer said one time I was on the channel for people who know Nicer. Nicer was like, she was talking to one of her friends, and her friend was like, I broke the family, you know, I broke the family curse when it got to me. And I was like, whoo, that's powerful. You know, talking talking with my brother, talking with my sister, you know, and I told him, I said, man, I'm trying to do something different. I'm not trying to be like every other family member, you know, have kids and, you know, don't leave them anything, don't do, you know, like my pops, like I say, man, I never really got a full, you know, committed relationship with my dad, but having so many of my family members tell me what type of man he was, I took it personal as having shoes to fill as to being better and doing better for myself. You know, that's why I go hard and I grind for my kids. I go hard and grind for myself. You know, the point of it, the grind don't stop. It's just converted process. Once one thing get established, one thing gets conquered, hey, we on to something else. The grind don't stop. Just like I say, once you become a millionaire, once you become wealthy, not rich, once you become wealthy, the whole point is maintain it. See, a lot of people they get that, like they say, caught in the sauce. They don't know how to maintain this because this is a newfound glory. I've heard so many rich people get rich, go broke, lose it all, gain it back the second time, and sometimes end up going after that third before they come back and say, "Well, I done went through this 2 times. My third time is gonna be different because I'm knowing how to handle this stuff now." You know, before it was all just hey, but now I can get it together. That's all they know. That's why I tell people, focus on you. Because in the end, man, like, hey, we keep pushing this whole relationship stuff. Sometimes relationship could be the worst thing for most people. Cause they ain't they like even Red Pill say, what's the end goal? You just want to have somebody? You just want to have sex? Like what's the end goal of you getting into that relationship? Are you trying to build? Are you trying to dominate? Like what's the purpose? And you got to have that talk to yourself because you know you jumping in here with what goal? Like what is the vision? What is the end goal? A lot of people don't have it. They just one step at a time. And I just want me a girl or I just want me a wife, you know. And Ramel always say this too about that dudes having a Disney fantasy. Because there are a lot of dudes that want to get married, but at the same time, the same thing with the women. But the whole point, for what? What do you want to get married for? It's how's this gonna be beneficial for you? You know, what what are you trying to put into play? Because there's certain things that people say and people do is totally different. I can say I want a wife, but the whole point is what is this gonna consist of? Like I say, some people just, hey, honestly speaking, some people just not meant to be in relationships. You carry yourself a certain way, and you're not gonna be able to connect with certain people. I mean, that's just what it is. Like I say, hey, if you want to get married, you got to put it in the change of the work. Same thing applies. If you're not getting married, you got to change for yourself. Do best. So, hey, if you're in a relationship or not, it starts with you. What is the end goal? What I'm gonna have to steer that. Might even making a channel called the end goal. Shout out to Red Pill. But in the end, hey, what are you gonna focus on? You just trying to get in a relationship to do what? Or if you staying single, what's the main goal? That's why I be telling my wife. I'm like paying all this life insurance and doing all this stuff now. Just talking with my brother just a few minutes ago. Talking about some money situation. What's gonna be the purpose? We have a lot of people, end up suffering because they ain't trying to grind. You know, Getting by is one thing, but that grind that puts you above the rest. How many people want to be different? Different ain't a bad thing. What are you looking towards the future? You having what? You got to grind for it. It's a lot of people say they want to own a house, car with the picket fence, but who putting that work to get that? You know, and that's what I be saying. Like, who literally putting in that work to establish that right there, which they want. A lot of people not. A lot of people, hey, like they say when it come to, the women, they got it easy. They just find a man with money. But the man who don't have money, how are you gonna get it? What are you gonna provide for that? Hey, and see, that's the whole point. You know, it, a lot of people have a set, you know, type of mentality in which they trying to focus on things. Hey, when I was on my grind, and hey, to a degree, women was, kind of acting or saying certain things. Like I'm like, man, I gotta go. I'm gone, because I'm looking for some, okay. I was wondering why these people sitting up here at the light. I'm like, man. But I'm looking for things that can benefit me, you know. And me putting in all these hours, hey, this if I'm in a relationship and we can't work together, hey, why stay in that relationship? What's his name? Kevin O'Leary said that once. It was a dude, he was in his dorm room making about $5 million, and his girl, know he had the money, and was like, cool, you got this and that, you got the money, which is cool, but she wanted his time. And when it came down to it, Kevin was like, what's cheaper to replace? You replace that business, you lose 5 million. You replace that woman, you can always get another woman, you know. And that was debatable. One of the situations with Cruise Season talked about that, how um Bezos had his wife, and Bezos' wife stuck it out and grinded it with him because that was his vision. And she grinded out with him. She didn't say, well, you spending too much time on Amazon, because if that was the case, Amazon wouldn't have been where it's at now. So, she sat there and put in that work with him. His woman know he makes this much money. This is starting to be his one of his biggest passions. So you see this, as one of the big things that not only influencing him, but influencing you and what you're doing with him. So why not go ahead and say, okay, well, this is something I know he's passionate and he wants to do. So we need to work together for the greater good. And that's the thing that's pushing with a lot of people, working together for the greater good, like benefiting me, benefiting you, no problem. You know, if I'm putting in these hours, I don't got time. You know, my wife knows certain times when I get in grind mode, I'll show you that affection. Yeah, but we not going out as much because I'm gonna be working on the weekend. You set up the trip, tell me what it is, what it's costing, give me a certain time limit, and I'll be there. I make it work. You know. Hell, yesterday I rarely take off work. I ended up taking off work yesterday to deal with the boys, register them and everything for school because the online process wasn't working. Other than that, hey, I'm out there running. Even yesterday, I was still doing some side work. Even though I was off, I was still doing some little side work, and got paid on that. It's the point. A lot of people don't want to ask when does the grind stop, but it's like this. You know, what are you willing to settle for? You know, some people want to be millionaires. Some people want to be thousandaires. Some people, hey, they just want to be hundredaires. They want to go and get that little quick hundred, and they good. $100 bills is better than a couple of thousand. They good. And then you got a lot of other people that say, hey, shoot, I'm trying to, get to the real bag. Trying to get a couple of, 100,000 or a million, or maybe even a billion. You know, and it's crazy too because that process. The lottery, man, it has everybody with the the George Jefferson mentality of getting out, but hey, it keeps you with that same mindset, man. Cause I mean, I play the lottery. I don't think I ever spent just at one time over $100 on the lottery. That's even on scratch offs and stuff like that. Because I'm like, I already know what it stands for. I'm not getting rich off of this. Yeah, because I mean, when it comes down to it, I be trying to get people to understand, man. Like, there's only so much you can actually, you know, do to a certain part to where you say, "Hey, I've done my part. What about you?" And that's the relationship. A lot of people, they lose when they start getting into with people trying to, build something with them. You build in one way and the other person building the other way. How that grind works. I'm putting my all in and you ain't that. That's why a lot of people just stay single. A lot of police running around here. Yeah, even with the window of that job, crazy lot. But when it comes down to it, man, like like I say, just a lot of people sometimes it's just to a point where you need to focus more. And you can't focus more when you're in a relationship and you're trying to deal with somebody else's emotions. You know, that grind right there, it don't put you in a point to where, you trusting so much and doing so much in certain situations. Hey, sometimes you gotta single that thing on out. You know, you trying to build your wealth. You don't have time to be dating all these different women. You know, hey, I'm on the grind. I remember when I was on the hunt, but before I met my wife, I messed with one other woman before I met my wife, and I was going hard in the paint. You know, I'm doing like months out, months out. I'm doing months out, and then turn around. And I got some other stuff I'm working on. Hey, if I end up running into a chick and we start hollering at each other, cool. But if not, man, I wasn't mad about that because I already knew what I was focused on. I was focused on that grind. I was like when it came down to it, man, I was putting money aside. I was doing certain other things, but my whole end goal was to, just live and have fun. Some of that stuff I was doing, man, it was just me just enjoying myself, going to parties, you know, getting fresh. That was my thing. I'm like, man, back in the day, I had a little nice clothes. It wasn't that major, but I can accessorize and buy what I want to buy and do what I want to do. So it got to a point to where what's going on, Nutty? I got to a point to where I say, man, like man, I'm gonna look good. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put myself on point. And who could argue? That was my whole point of grinding and hustle, man, to live my life with a purpose. If I wanted to have fun and I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor after, working a long week, a month, or a hard, whatever time, that's what I wanted to do. And a lot of people, they get in these situations to where, they working hard for what? You know, a pair of shoes, nah, your goals got to be bigger, to a point where you just enjoying life. Man, that's the key. A lot of people, they focus on the small things, not looking at the bigger picture. I done seen so many people staying in apartments, BMWs, all this stuff, Mercedes. And I'm like, man, like you grinded hard for that car. I'm like, if you would have put more focus and energy into buying a house, like man, that down payment that you put for that car, you could have put that towards a house, you know. And it's just the whole thing with priority, putting status. Like I told y'all, man, I'm in Atlanta, and not trying to take a shot at the ladies, but they got these Mercedes, like the SUVs. I think they give them away like to all the women down in Atlanta, cause that's all I be seeing, a whole bunch of women driving Mercedes Benz trucks and all that. And I'm like, woof, like my wife even want one. And I told her no. Like she's salty about it, but I'm like, nah. I'm like, the whole point, we can buy one, but who gonna keep up the maintenance? See, that's the whole thing. You buying these cars and not keeping up the maintenance. That's where you get, you know what I'm saying, kind of shook. What's going on, Frugal Mom? But the point of it is, you buying these cars and you're not keeping them up. That's why I say you grind for a car, but then that's supposed to be it. What's the bigger picture? Have a list to say, well, I'm not grinding for this car. I'm grinding for the car, grinding for the house, but it's gonna be a process. I'm gonna get this house first, then I'm gonna get this car. I'm gonna make sure I can afford all this and I'm good. Just like I say, some people should stay single. Some people should remain single, but a lot of people just don't get it. They have to have somebody. They have to be whole. You know, just like Red Pill say, when you hitting those 60-hour weeks and you hitting it for a grind with a purpose, you trying to have your mentality to not struggle and stay the same. Like I say, when I talked about eating them noodles and hot dogs that people always claim, now they eating steaks and stuff. It was a process. You didn't just jump up the next day and say, "Man, I'm gonna eat steak all week." No, you had to grind it out, stack that money up, whether you cooked it yourself or you know you went out and bought it at a restaurant. The point of it was you had the budget because anybody can easily just say, "Man, I ain't eating hot dogs and noodles no more. I want me a big juicy steak." Yeah, you could do it one time, and then maybe you can do it a couple of weeks later. But what's the budget to where it won't break the bank? To where you eat a nice juicy steak dinner somewhere, and then for the next couple of days, you looking for change up under the sofa for gas. And that's the biggest thing. You know, you back to struggling now. You jumping forward just to go back. You grind hard just for that meal, and now you back to struggling. To put gas in your car. Like now you got to get back harder on your grind just for a steak dinner. That's what I see. Where I see these dates and stuff, where guys say that they go and take these women on these dates. It's like you pay all this money for this one date, and if the woman ghosts you, then what? You know, and it amazes me how people don't have that purpose, that driven purpose to how you going to handle this situation. Like I say, when I was on my grind before I met my wife, I was going hard. I didn't have time for no relationship. I was only enjoying. I was only probably maybe once every 2 months or so. That relationship was gonna be strictly over the phone. That was it. Even when I met my wife, you know, we talk more on the phone than anything because, you know, summertime is peak time. I was grinding, getting it in, making all that money. I wasn't chilling at home. You know, even when relationships started getting serious, I was focused more on the money, like accomplishing things. And needless to say, hey, when you focus on that grind, and you trying to make things work, you have to put things aside. And that was one of the things that I say, if I'm gonna have to get a relationship, It has to be time invested in that relationship. My time right now, I want it to be invested in me making money in this business or me doing this. So I'm not going to have all my time driven to focus on, representing this when this is my main focus to get better at that right there. Like I say, what I mean, even Red Pill, what he was saying about the end game, what's your end goal? Like what are you doing this for? I'm working hard, doing 30 hours just to get a BMW. That's good, but short term thinking. Like I said, I'm gonna start pounding people head again about this life insurance. You know, easily cut off certain things. People have a weed habit. Stop smoking so many blunts. Cut that off. Drinking habit. Hey, stop drinking too many like bottles. Good bottles of 50 and up. All you gotta do is just cancel about 1 or 2 bottles a month. Get you a policy. Smoking. Hey, cut back on them cigarettes. At one point I don't know how much that it was like $10 a pack. I know up in New York they been $10 a pack. I was like, I know they was going $15, almost $20 for a pack of cigarettes up north. Like, man, crazy. That's like you're already paying for a pack of cigarettes, the amount of money for a fast food. And I know people who smoke instead of eating because that nicotine just tastes so much better to them. So, like I say, it's like, what's the end goal? What are you putting in that grind for? The bigger picture. That's why I say focusing in on family. I tell people all the time, if you don't have a family, you still need insurance because when it's all said and done, hey, what's going to happen when you sit up here and you die? How is that going to work? Who's going to be able to, you know, get your affairs in order? I talked to my older brother. My older brother not married, is in a relationship, and like I told him, I said, "What if you and your girl break up now? How's that situation going to pan within a couple of years? Get you a policy. You know, stop being a knucklehead. You older than me. You shouldn't be telling me this. I mean, I shouldn't be telling you this. You should be telling me this. And that's what I told him. That generational thing, man. You stuck in this one direction, and that's the way he was on that grind mode. He was on the street life mode. But I'm like, you ain't in the streets no more. You're a thriving, producing citizen right now. So that mentality has to change. And some people mentality don't change. That's why they still in that same situation. You got to get over that hump. You ain't out there no more doing all that stuff. Stuff need to change right now in life. And that's what I keep harping back to always. Knowledge of self. Once you get that knowledge of self curve, that's when you start doing better for yourself in life because focusing on the bigger picture. What you gonna leave for your kids? Even if you don't have kids, what are you leaving for yourself? You know what I'm saying? That somebody can look back on and say, well, he lived this life this way when he was alive. When your eulogy gets presented and they say, well, he was a good man. She was a good woman. And that's it. You ain't got nothing else good to say about this person. They ain't really do nothing for themselves. They bought a nice car ended up getting junked. They end up doing this and that end up not doing well. Like in the end, what was the purpose? What was the picture that they did something to represent or you know nothing. But in the words of the Doseki man, stay thirsty, my friend. The grind never quits. It keeps going. You don't want to struggle, you know. And I'm gonna end with this. There was a shirt. I knew some guys that started a business doing t-shirts. And one of their famous shirts that they made, they got all the way to mainstream is can't sell dope forever. And that was the whole thing that kind of influenced grinding with a purpose, because once you get to a certain point, the game got to change up. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave it at that. And shout out to everybody that came in. The grind got to change. You gotta do something better, different for yourself. But with that being said, like always, we here, we gone.